This is your one and only 𝐈𝐸𝐸 with your daily dose of video goodness, and today we're going to talk about a Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 build that can one-shot anything in the game, yes, including MaxTac. Let's get to it. So over the past couple of days, I have been messing around with a bunch of different builds, trying to get an idea of the overall build landscape of the game now since the release of 2.0, as well as trying to discover other insanely OP and godlike builds. And in doing so, I noticed something very interesting. With 2.0 and the redesign of all of the perks, as well as the redesign of cyberware, the game does feel better as a whole. However, they've completely nerfed our ability to get those absolutely insane damage numbers that we got before the 2.0 update. Now, this is not to say that builds that can't do 500,000 damage in a single hit aren't good builds. If anything, they've made the game feel overall more cohesive and balance it in a way that allows you to feel strong, but at the same time, keeping the game somewhat challenging. Well, if you play on a harder difficulty other than normal. And the reason we can't achieve these numbers anymore is they eliminated a lot of the double dipping that we were able to do in the past. And while we can still double dip a little bit here and there, that double dipping doesn't equate to astronomical amounts of damage. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to one-shot even the most toughest of bosses, as well as see those massive damage numbers pop up on the screen, because the only thing gamers love more than big numbers is big titty. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what this build does. It can do upwards of 80k damage and literally one-shot anything in the game, yes, including MaxTac. Let's start off with taking a look at the skills. We're gonna start off with body. In body, we got Painkiller. This unlocks health regen during combat. We have the Comeback Kid, which gives us a 1% increase to our health regen per 1% of our health that we are missing. Dwarf Head gives us a 100% mitigation for chance every time we use our blood pump or our health item. This happens automatically with this build, and it happens frequently. So we frequently have a 100% mitigation for 2 seconds. We also have a lot of other ways to get a lot of mitigation in this build, giving us a ton of survivability. Moving on up, we have Adrenaline Rush. We have all 3 levels of this maxed out, so that we have the 35 to our max health, the 20% health regen bonus to all regen effects from all sources, as well as, of course, the Adrenaline Rush, which kind of gives us a bit of a health overshield, further reducing the damage that we take to our main health. We have Calm Mind, which prevents the decay that happens with Adrenaline Rush from activating for 3 seconds after it first kicks in. Juggernaut, which increases our move speed and gives us 10% increased damage when we have Adrenaline Rush. And this is all damage is affected by this, so this improves our damage even more. We have Unstoppable Force, which when Adrenaline Rush is active, we gain immunity to movement penalties and non-damaging status effects such as knockdown and blind. Moving on to Reflexes, we have Slippery. This makes us harder to hit the faster we move, and the effect is increased when we are dashing, dodging, sliding, sprinting, and vaulting. We also have Power Slide, which just increases our slide distance. I picked this up because we are harder to hit when we are sliding, obviously, so the longer we can slide, the harder we're going to be to hit for a longer period of time if we need to be harder to hit. We, of course, have 2 points into the dash, so that we have a 20% stamina reduction for all dodging and dashing, and then it unlocks dash for us. Can't touch this, which gives us a 100% mitigation chance when we are performing a dash. You want to always be dashing when you're in the middle of heavy combat, so you're going to be moving around a lot, you're going to be dashing a lot. This means that all damage that we are going to take is going to frequently be mitigated, which means we're only going to take 50% of whatever we get hit for. And then in this tree, I also picked up Stunt Jock just for funsies. This isn't really a necessary perk. You could take it or leave it. Over in Technical, we have all things Cyber maxed out. That gives us a 10% to all cyberware stat modifiers, as well as a 20% reduction to our cyberware capacity cost. We have Renaissance Punk, which gives us a +4 to our cyberware capacity for each attribute at 9 or higher. We have 15 in tech, so that gives us quite a few additional cyberware capacity points to play around with. Driver Update gives us an additional stat modifier to all of our cyberware. This one is super handy because the more stat modifiers we can get to stack on top of each other, the better. We have Chipware Connoisseur active right now, but this isn't necessary to have active all the time. You really only need to put a point in this when you are upgrading your cyberware so that you can get the other options. Once you have done that, you can remove the perk point from this and put that perk point anywhere else. Then if you go to upgrade more cyberware later, you just put the perk point back into this stat before you go to upgrade your cyberware. Lucky Day is another one that isn't really necessary, but it's just handy to have, and that gives us a 25% increase to the crafting components that we find when we're looting. License to Chrome, on the other hand, at least 2 levels into it, is definitely mandatory. You really don't need the 3rd level in this. We are only really after this for 2 things. We want that 10% increase to all cyberware stat modifiers, as well as the plus 40 to our armor. Glutton for War gives us a 5% chance to instantly recharge our health items and grenades when we neutralize an enemy. We rely heavily on our health item for this build to work, so having that is extremely handy and definitely necessary. Transfusion gives us a plus 30% increase to the health we get from the final charge of our health item. We are going to frequently be using the final charge of our health item and using our health item and keeping it on 1 charge, so this one is also necessary. First Aid gives us a 15% recharge speed increase to our health item when we only have 1 charge left. This is just helpful, not really necessary because we're going to be regenning them for free, but this one's just nice to have just in case you aren't proccing the charge to instantly recharge. Having this is handy. We max out Health Freak to get an additional charge to our health item, as well as getting to other things that we need. It also gives us an 8% increase to the recharge speed of our health and grenade items, so that's just handy as well. Borrowed Time is the big reason we're here, and what Borrowed Time does is it instantly recharges our health item if we neutralize an enemy and we are below 25% health. We are going to frequently be below 25% health, so this allows us to kill an enemy, be below 25% health, and instantly heal. Then we have Field Medic, which gives us a 15% faster use of health items in combat. Take this one or leave it, it doesn't really matter. All right, now we're on to the big one here, and that is Intelligence, because this is a Netrunner build, so we have Intelligence maxed out, and there is a lot going on here. And instead of going through each one of these and explaining them, because there are so many of them as opposed to the other ones that we just went through, I'm just gonna explain overall what happens here. So copy this skill tree as you see it if you want to copy this build. There are specific reasons we didn't pick up certain things. They are completely unnecessary. Some of them are trap perks. They sound great, but in the end, they're not really that great for many different reasons. But what we have here is a situation that maximizes the amount of damage that we can do when we are in overclock mode, as well as increasing the regen that we get when we are in overclock mode, and helping us to recover a little bit of our RAM when we are in overclock mode. There are 2 things that I want to point out here that are super important. The first one of those is Q Mastery. Now, a lot of people use Q Mastery and specific cyberware to get a large chunk of their RAM back when they neutralize an enemy. While this does work, it's not the most effective way to play a Netrunner, but this does give us 15% increased damage, which is the biggest reason we are taking this. The second reason we are taking this is for the additional slot to quick hack queue size. This is important because it allows us to maximize our damage even more with the specific combo of quick hacks that we're going to be uploading. Without this, we miss out on another large chunk of damage that we're able to get by having this. The amount of RAM that we regen from this is negligible at best, but it is nice and it does help because it does stack with another ability that we have here that further helps our health regen ever so slightly. And the more health regen we can get, the better, because we're going to be using our health as our RAM, and we also use it for massive survivability because our regen is so high and our mitigation is so high, we can just take tons and tons of abuse and never have any issues. Seriously, your chances of dying with this build are slim to none. It's not impossible, you're not immortal, but you're gonna feel like you are. Another important one that we pick up over here that helps with survivability, and this one ties into the amount of RAM we get back, and that is Sublimation. This states that when overclock is active, all RAM recovery effects also regenerate health. This is any RAM. This isn't just your RAM passive regeneration. This is if you gain a chunk of RAM back, you also gain health back. So if you gain 6 RAM, you gain 6 health. This isn't going to be something that gives you a ton of health back in one go, but it is going to give you a little bit of health frequently, which once again helps with our survivability. Blood Demon is what's going to actually give us a good chunk of health back. This states that when overclock is active, we gain plus 40 health for each quick hack queued on an enemy at the time of neutralizing them. Doing the proper combo to get these massive damage numbers is going to leave a single quick hack in Q, which is going to give us 40 additional health, which is the equivalent to 4 RAM. Now, you can abuse this for even more. You can put a quick hack on an enemy that you know is going to kill them and then just flood their Q with a bunch of low-cost quick hacks that don't really matter and gain a large chunk of health back. You should never really have to do this because your health item is always going to be there for you and it's always going to get auto-used, but just in case you run into a situation where you need a large chunk of health back in one go, this is a really great way to do that. Another really big one that we have here that does a massive increase to the damage capability that we are able to do is Race Against the Mind. This states that when overclock is active, we increase our quick hack damage as our health decreases to a max of plus 50% increased damage. This works insanely well with Synapse Burnout, which we are using the iconic legendary version of that, which has a base damage of 1,728, and that increases up to a total of 700% increase based on the amount of RAM we are missing. We're always going to be out of RAM, which means that when we cast this, we're going to be using our health. The damage increase is actually calculated when we upload it. When we go to upload it, we're going to be missing a bunch of health. And without figuring in all of the other damage boosts that we get to this, with just this one perk and one quick hack, we are doing 750% increased damage when we upload this thing. That is absolutely insane. Now let's quickly go through the cyberware. So the cyberware that we have selected here, almost all of it is a have to. There are some things that you can skip, but most of this is a have to. The first of those being the axolotl. You get this for finishing all of Regina's gigs. Make that the very first thing you do in the game. Get this unlocked as soon as possible. I currently have it upgraded one time, which gives me 11% instant cooldown on all cyberware after neutralizing an enemy. This not only brings overclock off cooldown faster, it also helps us stay in overclock mode longer. Yes, this does also affect how long your cyberware is active when it is active. On top of that, Synapse Burnout is also going to increase how long we can stay in overclock mode. The two of these together allow us to just trigger it whenever we need to, as well as just stay in it indefinitely if we need to do that as well. The next one you need, and you need the DLC, I think, in order to get this one. You can only get it, or I've only seen it in Dogtown. I don't know if it's possible to get it without the DLC. This is the 𝐶ox2 Cyber Somatic Optimizer. This gives our quick hacks a 100% chance to crit. You want to upgrade this as quickly as possible. I have it upgraded one time. It gives us a -6 to RAM. It's -8 by default. I want to say it goes down to 4 if you have it maxed out at a 5++. Correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. The loss of RAM isn't the biggest deal here since we are using our health to do a majority of our uploading, but it's nice to have that RAM buffer when you first start to upload stuff. So, you know, upgrade this if you can at least once. If not, you'll be fine. Then we have the RAM upgrade. Take this or leave it, but put something in this other slot that increases your RAM or RAM regen. Another good option here could also be the X disk, as it also increases how quickly we can upload quick hacks, as well as giving us more RAM. Then we have the RAM recoup. I have this because this gives us RAM regen as well as additional RAM, and if you notice, one of the abilities on it is a plus 2.5% to our quick hack damage. You want to prioritize and find anything and everything that you can that's going to further increase your quick hack damage. If something has that on it, which this does, you'll want to try to equip it. Then I have titanium bones. This gives us additional armor as well as carry capacity. This one's just kind of handy, but it's not necessary. On to what is necessary is all three of these I have down here into the 𝐸𝑥 whatever Terry system that is the skin. So first off, we have counter shell, which gives us a 50% mitigation chance for 4 seconds if we lose more than 35% of our health within 3 seconds. This means that if we take a big hit from a sniper or something like that, we get increased mitigation. We want as much mitigation as we can possibly have. I would slot the Neo Fiber if I had room for it, but I currently don't. If you do, slot the Neo Fiber into the nervous system and max it out. Mitigation is amazing. Then we have the chitin or chitin, depending on where you're at and how you like to pronounce it. This one is a have to. This gives us plus 200 armor, as well as giving us an absolute massive amount of health regen. We get a whopping 10% health regen for each point we have in the body attribute, giving us a total of a massive 150% health regen. Like seriously, your health regens so fast even when you're in combat with this build that it's absolutely nutty. And then we have subdermal armor because it's the only other thing that I could slot here that has a decent amount of armor on it. It also gives us an additional plus 0.5 armor for each point we have in technical ability, giving giving us an extra 7.5 armor. Blood Pump isn't a have to, but Blood Pump is nice and it is my preferred way of healing. If you don't like Blood Pump, you can easily use whichever the healing item is. I forget which one it is. I think it's MaxTac that gives you the flat, like, increased health, not the one that heals you for a bit and then heals you over time like Blood Pump does. That's way too slow. You want the one that just heals you for like 100 health. So if you can't slot Blood Pump because you don't have the points for it, just use that health item instead. What is mandatory is Biomonitor. Biomonitor automatically uses our health item whenever our health drops below 35%. This is a have to. You don't want to worry about having to heal. If you have to worry about having to heal, you're going to die. This prevents you from dying because it automatically uses your health item, and your health item automatically gets recharged whenever you kill an enemy, and it's an absolutely amazing loot. Heal on Kill is very nice to help us with our regen. It's not super necessary, but it is recommended. So if you can't slot it, it's not the be all end all, but slot it as soon as you are able to. Enhance, I had to equip the tattoo because it cost us 0. My cyberware is maxed out. I had to sacrifice my eyes, taking the most basic of trashy eyes. And then the Cyberdeck that we want here, and this one is important. This is the one you have to use because it is going to give you an absolute massive increase in damage, and that is the Technotronic Rippler MK5. We are after one thing and one thing only on this Cyberdeck. Now, it's got a lot of other nice features like the +5 additional RAM, and when you activate overclock, it blinds and breaks everybody's weapon that's around you. That's all fine and dandy, but what we're here for is the +40% increase to damage with a combat quick hack when it is immediately followed by a non-combat quick hack in the hacking queue. That's an additional whopping 40% that is so easy to trigger, and it stacks with all of the other insane massive damage increases that we have going on. And then for legs, you can equip whatever your favorite set of legs are. The move speed legs would be really nice here if you can equip them, because moving faster makes us harder to hit. You want to be on the move all the time so that you can't be hit. But I have the double jump legs equipped because double jump is amazing and life without double jump sucks big fat donkey ball. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's talk about quick hacks. You do not need a lot of quick hacks here, and our combo is very simple. When you put quick hacks on your Cyberdeck, they are ordered in the order that you upload them, but reversed. So if you put, for example, Synapse Burnout in your deck last, that is going to be at the top of your list. If you put it in first, it's going to be at the bottom of your list. So you want to put them in your deck in this order. Weapon Glitch. Weapon Glitch can be swapped out for literally any other control quick hack or any other quick hack that's not a damaging quick hack that you want. I like Weapon Glitch, but you could just as easily use something like Reboot Optics. It's just nice to have a little bit of another option in there if for some reason you can't upload our next quick hack, which is Memory Wipe, which you should be able to upload to everybody, but for some reason MaxTac does not like Memory Wipe. So your next quick hack is going to be Memory Wipe, followed by Synapse Burnout, followed by Cyberware Malfunction. Now, here's where the fun happens. When you upload quick hacks to an enemy, you are going to upload 2 stacks of Cyberware Malfunction. The reasoning for this is it not only disables enemy cyberware for 10 seconds, but if you read it, it says that it also increases all damage against the enemy by 15%. Note, I am using the iconic legendary version. If you are using the normal version, you are only going to get a 5% increase, which is fine. If you don't have the iconic one, just use the normal one until you get the iconic one. So you're going to upload 2 stacks of Cyberware Malfunction, which is either going to increase your damage by 10% or 30%. Then you are going to upload 1 Synapse Burnout. This is your damage. This is your killer. Once this hits, the target will die. The target will die with this combo. I don't care what it is, it will die when Synapse Burnout hits if you've uploaded 2 stacks of Cyberware Malfunction and you have used all of your RAM. Then the last thing you are going to put in the queue is Memory Wipe, and that is because Memory Wipe 1 costs a ton of RAM, which we are going to get back in the form of RAM and health, and 2, it also locks the queue, which is what we want to do, because when we lock the queue, we also get a 15% increase to our damage. And that's the killer combo. 2 Cyberware Malfunction, Synapse Burnout, Memory Wipe. When this triggers, you will get a little bit of health back, a little bit of RAM back, the target will die, and then you can rinse and repeat this over and over as many times as you need to. Now, there is one downside to this combo, is it is RAM intensive. You're gonna be in overclock mode when you do this. You're never gonna be attacking and not in overclock mode when you go into battle. If you're just gonna knock out one guy and it's not a boss, you can just Synapse Burnout it. Not a big deal. You have the RAM for that. If you're in the middle middle of the thick of it and you're fighting a bunch of people and or a boss, you want overclock active. You won't be able to do the full combo if you don't have overclock active. You can't upload the full combo to multiple people at a time. The most I've been able to do is 2 people at once. Then you have to wait till those 2 enemies are downed before you can repeat the combo on another 2 enemies. That is why you want to save this combo for your big targets, your giant mechs, or anything that has the double or the split health bars, which you run into from time to time. That ensures that they are going to die when the synapse burnout hits them and you don't have to worry about them. The majority of the people that you are going to fight, you can just upload synapse burnout to them, and because you will never have any RAM, or you will have very little RAM when you upload it to them, they are going to die. It's going to do around 10 to 13,000 damage to them and they're going to die. You're not going to get those insane big numbers like the upwards of 80,000 damage unless you do the full combo, but you don't need 80,000 damage to kill 𝐵𝐷 He's going to die with 10,000 damage, and that 10,000 damage is going to be complete overkill. But that's the build. It's absolutely insane, and it is the only build that I have been able to pull these kind of numbers from. I've had plenty of builds that I've messed around with that have dealt good damage. They felt fine. They've been able to handle pretty much whatever I've thrown at them. They could not one-shot big targets. They could kill it pretty quickly, but they could not one-shot it. This build, you will also feel freaking immortal. You have so much mitigation all the time, and you have so much armor and health regen that you are extremely difficult to kill. And of course, as you can see from the beginning footage that I showed you and this footage once again, you can indeed kill MaxTac. Now, I'm gonna level with you. It's not easy to kill MaxTac because you have to do it quickly before they get a buff that they get, which reduces all of the damage that they get down to basically nothing. The buff essentially prevents them from being able to be one-shot or just be killed at all for that matter. So while you can kill MaxTac, it's a little iffy to pull off. So if you try to do it and you're not pulling the numbers that you see from this clip, that's because you need to catch them right as they are jumping out or before they jump out of their little ship and kill them before they have their god buff on. But yeah, I just wanted to inform you of that. So if you go try to do it and you're like, I can't kill MaxTac, it's not doing any damage to him. That's why. If you hit Z when you're hovered over them and you're scanning them, you can see the buff that they have. All right. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. You found it helpful and informational. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other Cyberpunk videos. And if you're looking for some more Cyberpunk content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.